What I'll do now is I'll go alternating right and then left and right and left and right. Go.
Years ago, Prabhupada gave me a mandate to open up communities all over Europe. And that was a very unique experience. And of course, community means something is there in common. There are loose-knit communities, and there are tight-knit communities. Loose-knit communities are people that come together every once in a while with a common theme. Tight-knit communities are communities in which people actually physically live together as under one roof. It's hard enough to live with yourself. It's harder to live with your partner. As you know, not so many partnerships, even in marriage, last. And of course, it's even harder to have a community where there's a significant number of people who stay together. So community really means you have to study what is it actually that we really do have in common that will enable us, inspire us, empower us to live together under one so-called roof, if that really is possible. We live in a world today in which those who do have the ability to live together and sustain a lifestyle together might be the hope of the future. We live in a world where the worst kind of people who care nothing for the environment, who say they are God conscious but don't mind killing hundreds of thousands of children, who would rather have departments of war rather than departments of peace, they are in control of this world. Prabhupada's hope was that we would be a peaceful group, that would be peaceful and powerful at the same time. These are not oxymorons, peaceful and powerful. But it really means that you have that common vision and common empowerment of each other. In any community, there has to be an equal respect of men for women and women for men. And I feel in our history that has not been the case. Women have been considered, in many times, second-class citizens. They have not been put forward as the equal to the men. And I think in any community, this type of mentality can't be there. It can't be that the women are just in the back and the men are in the front. All these type of things lead to eventual displacement of our own children and then the breakdown of community and so on and so forth. Now we are combined together, as Maharaj said, to the chanting of the holy name. But there are very practical things which are necessary to be in place if a community is to have sustainability. A common economic vision, a common respect for men and women, a common understanding of protection of children, a common understanding of the value of being in this material world and not just looking at it as an outhouse wanting to get out of as quickly as possible, but to leave our mark and make it a better place each time. So these are all potentials that all devotees have because we actually believe that the source of everything is conscious and that the source of everything, as the gift of Chaitanya is, the source is two, not one. The source is not just a male God. We are not a patriarchal movement. The source of everything is two. We actually have that most beautiful spirituality that understands that God is male and female. And I think any future communities or combining of groups of devotees along that respectful line, that we honor the goddess and we honor the God within each of us, will help that happen. Thank you.
To speak on this subject in 3 minutes is more of a challenge than 8. But
In our North American spiritual strategic planning effort, we established 3 principal objectives. One of them is our topic for today: to establish and support wholesome spiritual communities that exemplify the teachings of our founder Acharya, His Divine Grace, and we named many of the core qualities that Radhanath Maharaj's introduction to our topic identified. It's very inspiring to meditate on such important, sustainable qualities that inspire one to begin, continue one to persevere, and thrill one as they begin to manifest. It's a great challenge to, practically speaking, accomplish all of that. Another thought is, I remember during a period of time in our ISKCON's history when the word cult was a very popular term, characterizing, in fact, I just met somebody when traveling on an airplane, person sitting next to me and asked, what religion are you with? Because I was dressed in, as you see me. And I said, Hare Krishna, have you heard of Hare Krishna? He said, oh, you're a cult. I said, what do you mean by cult? He said, my mother lives next to the Miami temple and she says, you guys are cults. So one of the things that sociologists divide cults from religion, or a minority religion. You graduate from a cult to a minority religion. When there's certain items that are part of that practice, and one of the items that's part of that practice is where the children of that religious idea continue in the next generation. And they take up that same religious practice. It's not just recruiting people from outside, but building great core values and appreciation from those who are the offspring of those who are adhering to that practice. They set the example and inspire for the next generation to continue the same. That's one of the important criteria, which I'm sure Nitya hears all the time in these conferences. So, knowing that I was going to be a panelist, I took the opportunity to call Dara Krishna, who is a second-generation devotee who is now a temple president in the Phoenix Temple. And I asked him, if you were sitting before this audience today, what would you communicate to the devotees here? I'm already getting the sign that I've used up my time. 1 minute left. The bullet points, since I can't go into more than that, is, he said, I'd like you to share with them that as a person born in a devotee family and having received the gift of being born in a devotee family and the gift of Krishna consciousness to the whole of the Krishna consciousness movement, I very much want to give that gift back to others. By taking up the position of a leader in this organization, I'm past my time. I'm appreciating even more those that had to give me that gift and the gift that I've been given, and what it takes to carry inside oneself to give that gift to others amidst the confusion and chaos of, as Maharaj was describing, this place of suffering, to give the shelter to those people. And then one other point, that a realization he said I've gotten is that by taking this step, I'm inspiring my parents, I'm inspiring my friends, I'm inspiring other young people, I'm inspiring people who I don't even know, who come up to me and say, I'm so inspired by this step that you're taking. So I'm going to have a little session afterwards for those of you that would want to explore this more, and we have 1 or 3 minutes. How to bring persons who have this value in your hearts into fulfilling the vision that Prabhupada gave when he came to America and his parents bought into and made it their lives, and now it's part of his life. How to carry it forward, make that vision a reality.
Hare Krishna. In growing up as a devotee or in this community, in the subjective community, for me, something I've been trying to grapple with is how to balance our high ideals with the practical realities of life, and also sometimes with the ugly realities of life. And I find that, or one thing I've learned growing up in this community is how important authentic communication is, how important istagosti is, and really speaking our individual truth, because we're all moving forward to try to save other people and help everyone else. And we have these super high standards also. But I've found that we've had some trouble dealing with our own lives and how to deal with problems such as, the Gurukula abuse, and face some of these things and find Krishna-conscious solutions to them without sort of fluffing them off and fluffing them forward. So for me, my life has been about creating a sense of balance and about trying to understand this super elevated philosophy in a really practical way. How do I make this part of my everyday life? And I think as a community, by being authentic, by speaking our truth, that's how we can come on a practical level to a level of self-realization. And by not ignoring, the dark sides, by looking at them, by trying to figure out what can be done about them. So I think in terms of having a deeper sense of community, the more we can be honest with each other, the more we can be real with each other, the more we can admit our faults and our mistakes and understand that somebody can, be wonderful and also have some issues they're dealing with, and fit those two things in one person. I think that would be powerful in helping us to accept each other, move forward, and ultimately work together. And I'm really into creating festivals, because I think there's so many of my Gurukuli brothers and sisters who are such amazing artists. It feels like Krishna just planted all these people who can naturally, on the moment, do choreography or, stretch a huge canvas like my brothers can, and, do all these things. And how to practically work together and do that, though, is my problem, because we have stuff we need to clean up first. We have ways that things we need to develop to work together more before that can happen on a powerful level. And I think there needs to be a little bit more of a kind of power sharing between the first generation and the second generation in order to make that happen. Like, I'm 31 right now. Most of the people who started this movement were, 20, and I'm still considered one of the youth. I have friends who are in their 40s who are still youth and not quite ready yet to hold a position, say, on the GBC. I don't know that many Gurukulis besides Manu, but I don't think you have a voting position yet, do you? So, some little things like this need to progress. But I think that we have something the first generation hasn't had, which is we have a first generation. We have mentors. We have a lot of history to learn from, and we have these incredible people who are not perfect, but we have these incredible people who we can work with. So community means working together. It means the churning of our different personalities and coming to a higher